guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine. Happy 2021, you guys. We have made it. We are here. New year, exciting. It's just gonna be awesome. I'm so excited for everybody. I know that I have a feeling that we're all going into this year with a new mindset, new attitude, and I'm just excited for what I have for myself, but I am very excited for everybody else and all of you guys and what you guys have lined up for yourself. I know this year is going to be better. So I've been MIA from BookTube since end of last year. I actually haven't been watching a lot of people's videos at all. I have to catch up on a lot of people's videos, and the reason behind it is because I started my own Etsy store. I make handmade jewelry. Right now I'm focusing on earrings, but eventually I'm going to expand to other types of jewelry. But I make handmade earrings and different styles, different colors, different patterns, different everything. So if you'd like to check it out, you definitely don't have to, and there's no obligation to, but if you'd like to check it out, link will be down in the description box. So the video that I'm going to be doing today are my top 5 favorite and least favorite books from 2020. And yes, once again, I'm behind because everyone has done their top favorites and least favorite videos of last year already, I'm pretty sure. So I'm like the last person on this train to do this kind of video, but we're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna do it. Let's get right into it. There's no particular order to this. I'm just gonna talk about one favorite book and then one least favorite book and just go back and forth. And any series, any trilogy or anything like that, I'm going to count it as one. So one of my favorite books of last year, I don't really even have to go into it, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book, phenomenal. Like, I really don't even have the words to describe it. If you haven't read it, just read it. You'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll know what everybody else is raving about. This book touches on so many topics, so many relevant topics, and it takes a deep dive into these topics too. These characters, the plot, everything about it is so perfectly and well done. I just could not get enough of it. It was a page turner. I just kept flipping the pages because I had to know what was happening next. It really is that kind of book. So The Hate U Give, definitely one of my favorite books of last year, and just in general one of my overall favorite books that I've ever read. Now, one of my least favorite books of last year is actually a book that I just recently finished. I think I finished it towards the end of last year, and that is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. Okay, so I feel like I have to make a separate video about this book altogether because this book was so difficult to get through. I mean, just difficult to get through. And it's not because it's complicated. I mean, they talk about magic and stuff like that in a kind of a complicated way, but it's not complicated, it's just the main character. Insufferable. I could not handle her and her attitude, and I just couldn't. Her characterization, everything, it was so hard to get through, and the whole book is from her point of view, so first person point of view, so you're literally reading the whole book from her perspective. It was so difficult, and I did not like that character at all. Reading the whole book from her point of view, nah, just can't do it. But of course I'm gonna read the second book. But yeah, that was not one of my favorite books. Second book that I enjoyed reading last year is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I'll Give You the Sun was such an amazing book. Like, I can't even really explain the roller coaster emotions that I was feeling while reading this book. It really brought out all the emotions, and it had all the emotions in this book too. You just never really know what direction you were going in while reading this. And the characters were absolutely amazing. I'm not someone who likes to read a lot of like young adult books anymore. I used to, but now that I'm like in my 20s, it's not something that I really enjoy reading as much because it's just a little harder for me to relate to young characters. But I don't know. In this book, the two characters, Noah and Jude, they are relatable. Even if they're like younger, portrayed younger than I am, they're really relatable, especially their sibling rivalry, wanting to appease their parents. Like, who cannot relate to that? If you haven't read I'll Give You the Sun, which again I'm sure everyone has. Please do pick it up. It will take you for a ride. Another book that I was disappointed by in 2020 last year was The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. This book, I wanted to really like it. I tried to like it because this book, it had this interesting thing where it didn't portray Indian culture. The book was Indian culture, at least one part of Indian culture. And I liked the way it was portrayed and everything. The execution, I would say it wasn't there for me. There was a part of the book where cheating was justified, and it's just, no. The main character, I did not like her. I didn't like a lot of decisions she made. I understand she had to make certain decisions, and that I understand, but there's other decisions that she didn't have to make, like sleeping with someone else's husband. Yeah, no, like, no. In my wrap up, I'll kind of go into a little bit more detail, but for now, I just did not like that book. So Henna Artist didn't make it to my favorites for last year. A series that I really enjoyed last year, like I mentioned, I'm going to count series, book series, trilogies, whatever, as one. So a book series that I really enjoyed last year is The Ghost and the Goth series by Stacey Cade. This series has 3 books. So the first one is The Ghost and the Goth, the second one is Queen of the Dead, and the third one is Body and Soul. It's interesting because this book is very light. It's just plain entertaining. It's almost addictive. Like, I finished a book a day, and my sister is actually reading it, and she's finished a book a day too, and she's on the 3rd book. It's so funny. I love it. It's like one of those CW type of shows, like cheesy teen high school paranormal type of read. Hilarious banter, love the banter, and I just love the polar opposite characters. So you have the ghost of a cheerleader, so of course popular, preppy, got some attitude, and the goth who he can see ghosts, and he's kind of the outcast, outsider, termed the loser of the school, and he doesn't really mingle with a lot of people in school. So just polar opposites, and I love their chemistry and, you know, their banter and everything about them. So Ghost in the Goth series, hilarious. And if you're looking for something light to read and something that's just entertaining, you don't have to think, you don't have to, you know, decipher, nothing. You just want some simple, plain, entertaining read. Ghost in the Goth, we can all do with some simple, plain, entertaining reads, especially after last year. So if you haven't read it, I recommend it. I think it was hilarious and funny, and like I said, you can turn off your brain for a little bit and just enjoy a little bit of comedy. So Ghost in the Goth, definitely enjoyed that series. Third book that I did not enjoy last year, that was a disappointment, but no surprise to me, The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the first and final book in the Raven cycle. So I mentioned this in previous videos, I'm not a fan of the Raven cycle. You know, I really tried. I tried with all these books, but Maggie Stiefvater's writing is a hit or miss. You either like it or you don't, and I definitely did not. So I wasn't a fan of her writing style, and I was not a fan of some of her characters, Blue and Gansey being the main ones. I could care less about them, really could care less about them. Raven King definitely was not my favorite of last year, but that's no surprise because it's sad to say, I wasn't expecting to like it anyway because I didn't like the other books in the series. So yeah, not a fan, unfortunately. So our 4th favorite of last year is, of course, No Limits by L.A. Marney. If you don't know by now, I'm an L.A. Marney fan. I don't hide it, and I'm not ashamed of it. I love L.A. Marney. Her books are great, at least the ones I've read so far. I have other books of hers to read still, but No Limits blew my mind. Beautiful, absolutely amazing. This book was action-packed to the brim. Like, it was a complete page-turner. Something going on every single second. I loved it so much. The characters, the build-up, everything. It was perfect. It was literally perfect and so creative. I love the direction L.A. Marney took in this book. I think it was perfect, and it just resolved in such a wonderful way. The characters, the way they were built up and the way they were unfolding within the story, it was done very well. I love that book a lot. Haven't tried Ellie Marney, give her a shot. I think she's worth it. I think she deserves all the recognition in the world, and can't wait till I read more of her books. Okay, so another book that I did not enjoy last year, and I made a whole video on it. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Yeah, Hating Game. Hated that book. Awful. Did not like it. I'm not gonna even get into it because I feel my energy leaving my body as I speak about the Hating Game. Hating Game was not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. They loved that hate to love, which is just ridiculous how it was played out in the book. The characters ridiculous, the plot ridiculous, the romance ridiculous. Honestly, I don't mean to hate this book so much, but every time I think about this book, it just kind of irks me, which I think it's clearly showing right now. Yeah, no, I won't talk about it more. I don't need that negativity in my life, so it's not like the Hating Game. So another book that I enjoyed a lot last year is The Undomestic Goddess by Sophie Kinsella. So this was actually my first Sophie Kinsella book. I know she's written like a ton of books, and a lot of people do enjoy her. I certainly did. The Undomestic Goddess, so entertaining and so awesome. I loved it so much. It was hilarious. The characters were great. I loved the romance. Oh my god, I love the romance. The chemistry, oh, perfect. Really fun, really entertaining. Again, if you are looking for something entertaining, I recommend that book. It was great. And the last, I guess, sequels that I did not enjoy, again, will come to no surprise, are the last two books in the Me Before You series. So that's After You, which is the second one, and Still Me, which is the third one, by Joshua Moyes. Me Before You, I did enjoy the book. I did like the romance in it a lot. Particularly, I loved the chemistry between the characters, Will and Louisa. But, my god, then After You happened and Still Me happened, and it just went downhill. Still Me and After You were completely unnecessary sequels. I do not think they had to be made. I think the way everything wrapped up in Me Before You was great, and honestly, like, we don't really need to know what goes on in Louisa's life after Will's death. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it really helped her case. The plot was awful. Louisa's character became more unlikable. I liked her a lot in the first book, but in the second and third book, did not like her. Stopped liking her. She was really boring. So yeah, definitely didn't like that series. I know I said that I was gonna mention my 5 favorite books and 5 least favorite books, but I did want to throw in an honorable mention of a favorite book that I read last year, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I enjoyed that book so much. I mean, it was creepy and it was dark. Creepy, dark, lots of trigger warnings, and I'll get into that when I do my wrap-up, but it was still a really good and enticing book. It is very dark, and yeah, it's creepy and gory, and there's just some scenes I'm thinking about right now that were gross. Rats, disgusting. Aside from all that, it was a really good and thought-provoking book. I think it was wonderful, wonderfully written, and really captivating. You want to keep knowing what happens next, and some characters and some scenes are so frustrating too. But in a good way, like frustrating in a good way, not like an annoying way. Like you want to know what happens next type of frustration. So Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I really did enjoy that book, and I would say I recommend it, but like I said in my wrap-up, which I'll be filming soon, I promise, I will kind of go over the trigger warnings because there are trigger warnings. So yeah. Alrighty guys, that's it for my top 5 favorites and top 5 least favorites of last year. I'm really excited for everything I'm going to read this year. Let me know below what your top 5 favorites and least favorites of 2020 were. I would love to see if like any of mine cross with yours, and let me know what you're reading right now as well. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing a wonderful day. Please still stay safe. The pandemic is not over. Be careful of yourself, be careful of your surroundings, take care of yourself, take care of your surroundings, and I think that this year is going to bring a lot of blessings to all of us. I'm excited for my reading journey, and I hope you have a wonderful reading journey this year as well. And that, hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.